Okay. No, I mean, so we have Viagra, Cialis, all the stuff. So bigger, better, more, While I'm on that, though, because I do want to tell you about this is your seat of power. And when you're okay with this is the low heart, and this is the high heart. I'm board certified in this, in the low heart. So I want to give you a little anatomy lesson. And remember, your relationship with money and wealth will be shored up when you shore this up. Susie said years ago, and she's right, any imbalance in your life will show up in your money first, but it will eventually get to your body. If it's not fixed in your money, it'll get to your body. The body's self-healing, so it takes longer. The body will do everything in its power to stay healthy. I've spent 30 years of my life categorizing, describing, talking about everything that can possibly go wrong with the female body and why that is. So I've got the stats. 1 in 3 will be raped. I don't know if you've seen the Oprah show with the 1 in 4 young women is in an abusive relationship. That rap guy, Chris somebody, Brown. So that's still happening out there. And that is because women don't yet know that we are the source of life. We're the source of power. And that source is here. Here. What were you told this was in your family? If I went around and we got the different names that you were told this is, it would be amusing. But many of you weren't told anything. This is down there. My oldest daughter went to Yale. There's, supposed to be smart people that go there. And her roommate's parents were both doctors. She called this down there. So if you don't have a name for this, your power center, then it gets disappeared, and you're looking for power in all the wrong places. But it's here. And when you're onto something, what I want for the second half of my life, of course, is to teach women everything that can possibly go right with their body. Everything that can go right. By the way, what is women's health? We're having a women's health fair. Here's a women's health fair, right? You go here to get your boobs crushed in the mammogram machine. And then you go over here to have your blood pressure tested. And then they put you on some statins over here, which you probably don't need. And so women's health is everything that can go wrong with your body. There's no health in the women's health discussion. Not ever. It's disease screening. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know, disease screening ain't health. Okay, it's a sort of a kindergarten variety of health. But it's not health. Standing up and saying, I am powerful, that's health. That's health. When you say that, when each of you said that and you felt it, and I want you to feel it starting from here. By the way, you'll know you're doing your life purpose and you're being a leader when you feel it here. Because you will feel it here. Why? Because doing your life purpose is a turn on. It's a turn on. Here's another factoid that I wasn't going to talk about, but I have to. And that is that the clitoris here has 8,000 nerve endings whose sole purpose is pleasure. But the clitoris is connected with the G-spot, which is at 12 o'clock just behind the pubic bone. So if you were to put in your 2 fingers, which, I'm board certified to do this, so I can do this, like that. Just behind your pubic bone, and you're aroused, you're turned on, you will feel a spongy area about the size of a quarter that's known as the Grafenberg spot in standard Western medicine. But it's really the sacred spot in ancient Sanskrit, because they knew about all this stuff before Dr. Grafenberg came along and stuck his flag in the area. Okay? Because, I know why you feel the way you do about your body, because every bit of your body is like a colonized third world country. We have Montgomery's tubercles around your nipples, right? Montgomery was here. We have Andre Fallopi, that's your fallopian tubes. Bartholin is down in the vulva, there's a little cyst there, and then Skeens is over to the side. These are all, we have a flag. So, therefore, we don't even have words usually for this stuff, but back to the clitoris and the sacred spot. So the sacred spot connects to the clitoris. So the clitoris is the North Pole, and the sacred spot is the South Pole. And there are thousands and thousands and thousands of nerve endings there. And those nerve endings in the sacred spot are connected through channels called nadis. And again, in the ancient scriptures and in India and Chinese acupuncture theory, nadis are energy channels that go right up to the pineal gland. So there is a huge connection between sexual energy and enlightenment and your spirit. And when you're connected with that, your leadership ability and your power increases astronomically. There is as much erectile tissue in the female pelvis as in the male penis. It's just inside. And nobody teaches you that. I was not taught that in my OBGYN residency. Everything was just, okay, well, there's that clitoris. We don't know what to do with that. It's the only organ in the male or female body whose sole purpose is pleasure, which I think tells us something about God, frankly. So the clitoris and the sacred spot are connected with this huge network of erectile tissue that when it is turned on by life, not just sexual stuff, but by life, your body is flooded with a molecule known as nitric oxide. Not nitrous, that's the laughing gas stuff, which I have to say I loved as a child. My dad was a dentist and he'd put that stuff on, it's like, yeah. It's the only drugs I've ever done. It was the nitrous oxide. I didn't want to mess with my brain, which was pretty amazing when I went to college and everything was just awash in pot and people were dropping acid and everyone was having sex with everyone else because it was the sexual revolution. And I didn't do any of that. But I did do nitrous when I was a kid and I had these cavities. Anyway, it's nitric oxide, and it is a odorless, colorless gas that is elicited by the endothelial lining of every blood vessel in your body. It just little puffs out whenever you are pursuing something that is meaningful to you, something inspiring, or you're having sex with a wonderful lover, or you're petting your dog, or you're looking at fish in the fish tank, or you're laughing it up with your girlfriends. Anything that is pleasurable or connecting you with your soul will increase nitric oxide, and nitric oxide increases the circulation of blood throughout your entire body. One episode of aerobic exercise will increase nitric oxide for 24 hours, and it has a very beneficial effect on blood vessels in the body. More than that, it is the uber neurotransmitter, meaning it changes the neurotransmitter levels of all the stuff they put women on Zoloft and Paxil and whatever the SSRI of the month is. Because you know how it is with those personality disordered people in your life. They're on one med after another after another. Are there any? Yeah, I'm not going to go there, but you know who I'm talking about. Okay, but this stuff raises the neurotransmitter and balances the neurotransmitters dopamine, serotonin, prolactin, beta endorphin, all the stuff for which people normally have to take antidepressants. They're all balanced out by the pursuit of joy and pleasure deliberately. If you do not know how to do that deliberately, you will do it the way most people in our culture do it. You will go after endorphin and serotonin and so on through drugs, sugar, and alcohol. These are not only not sustainable ways to pursue joy and pleasure, they will absolutely wreck your ability to be powerful leaders. It was interesting when Susie said, how do you keep yourself out of your power? By believing that you're not perfect. That's true. But the intermediary step in there is you keep yourself out of your power by, if you start to have a really good idea and start to feel powerful, you take a drink or you eat too much sugar or you do whatever to step it down. Because addictions are what keep you out of sustainable health and sustainable power. And everyone here who's in the medical field knows that if it weren't for drugs and alcohol and smoking, hospitals wouldn't exist. You'd be out of a job. And those things that we do to ourselves, to put ourselves out of our own power, that's what keeps you from being as powerful as you can be. So I'm not going to ask you how many people are working a 12-step program because those are anonymous. So like, you're not going to tell me and you don't have to tell me, but there is something absolutely wonderful about the 12-step movement for addiction, because the first step is we admitted we were powerless over da-da-da. And you know what that means? When you admit you're powerless, it's your ego that's powerless. You bring in the greater power that you really are. And that's the first step toward absolute leadership and also physical health. Now back to nitric oxide. One of the things that I love about that research, and Dr. Farid Murad won the Nobel Prize in Medicine for his work with nitric oxide as a signaling molecule, is he was one of the co-authors on my latest book, which is called The Secret Pleasures of Menopause. And when I learned about nitric oxide, we wanted to write a book that would teach people all about it. And the part for me that was the most fun is it is nitric oxide that is the mechanism through which Viagra and Cialis work, the erectile drugs. Now, the thing where it comes in for women is a turned-on woman, a woman who is a leader, a woman who is powerful in her life, a woman who is happy with herself, a woman who can stand in the mirror, I'm powerful, is a turn-on to the man in her life. She will increase his nitric oxide levels. So that, and I've seen this, when women come home to their own power, which is what menopause is all about. For those of you who are not yet menopausal, the 3 days before and right after your period is when you come home to your power. What do we do with that? We call it PMS. It's premenstrual strength. Premenstrual women don't speak, they speak with sharp tongues, not forked tongues. Because premenstrually, you know what you're doing? You're actually telling the truth because your wires get a little stripped of their insulation then.